This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. This episode of PTG is brought to you by HK Army. HK is an industry leader in high-quality paintball gear, accessories, and lifestyle apparel that was founded in 2007. And we have a tremendous opportunity for you all to be geared up on every level with HK Army custom team gear. Whether you're on the paintball field or in the airsoft arena, take your game to the next level by using code PTG to get 50% off your custom gear design fee. And I don't think y'all heard me out there. That is 50% off, and you will be able to collaborate with a seasoned designer to create custom branded HK Army jerseys, long sleeves, t-shirts, pants, gloves, or headbands for your team with no minimum order quantity. Head on over to hkarmy.com/custom and use code PTG for 50% off on your team's custom gear design fee right now. Let's go. Thank you, HK Army, for everything you do in paintball, in airsoft, and in so many people's lives. We love you. Go check them out. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you had an amazing Christmas and are really enjoying the holidays, getting to spend time with your loved ones, and really just have a little bit of a break here in the off season. We're still locked and loaded, bringing you guys tons of content. In this episode, we have one of the best media individuals in the game, Ryne Broshears, also known as RyGuy, who offers some incredibly valuable insight into how we can have a better working relationship between the media, the players, what the league and the players and everyone within the industry should be doing to progress the game forward and really take the next step into getting noticed from the outside world. So without further ado, we are going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Happy holidays, PTG Nation. We got the young legend in the house, Ryne Broshears, RyGuy Media, as everybody knows him. And we're super excited to tap in with you. It's the day after Christmas. We hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the holidays. How you doing, Ry?
Good. Enjoying the holidays. Enjoying the off season for once in many of years. Got about a week left.
Yep.
What have you been doing to enjoy the off season? Because actually, it seems like you've been putting out a lot of content, editing a lot of videos. Seems like you haven't had much of an off season.
Okay, so off season means off season of filming. I still have a job I have to do, right? So like,
Okay.
I am a monthly salaried employee of lonewolfpaintball.com.
Yep. Let's
make
go,
sure
Lone Wolf.
you spend all your holiday money there if you have any left over. You got some
Yep.
good stuff. But in order to fulfill part of my job obligations, I have to put out 2 to 3 YouTube videos a week for Lone Wolf to be able to post. So yeah, I still been editing, but during the season, on top of editing, I have to film, right? That obligation doesn't change just because there's an event or something. So it is like a half speed, still off season for me. Like even for y'all, you're paid to stay fit, right? So like in the off season, you're still in the gym every day. You're still drilling, snap shooting, doing whatever. Still got to do a little something.
Absolutely. Stay active.
Yeah, for sure. So, Rye, when you're not filming, does Lone Wolf, do they just send you video footage and then it's up to you to curate, the posts or the content? Or is this like footage that you have stored up from the season, or both, collaboration of sorts?
So it's all either my footage or footage of somebody I shoot with, which meaning they shoot under
Cool.
Lone Wolf. So this season there's quite a few guys that we worked with on and off, but we ended up ending the season with Rufino Studios, like Rufino
Yeah.
ONG, and then a 5-pack. So before we leave the events, we all stay in the same Airbnb, so they just drop all their footage to a hard drive. So I have it here. How it normally works though is I'll go film something, then I upload it to my server in my house, and then Lone Wolf downloads it, and then Fitz over at Lone Wolf makes all the reels.
Mm.
Oh, I
So
see.
like,
Okay.
if there's a reel posted to Lone Wolf and you've been shot or you feel, it's like, I didn't do it. It was Fitz. Go after him, attack him. I'm just a cameraman, right?
Hey, you filmed it, bro. You uploaded it. You know what you were doing when you uploaded that footage. You know
they
what was going to
need to go
happen.
through it, right? So I just give it all to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing amazing work, right? And it's been cool to watch your journey, because I remember seeing you for the very first time. We had a kind of a training event that we put together with free parking back in the day. And that was kind of like the first time I had really seen you. And that was, I think, the first time you were picking up a camera and really getting into it. So from that moment forward, what you've been able to create in the space of paintball has been tremendous. And we're so grateful for you and all the media gang. Shout out to media gang out there who holds it down on the paintball field, getting shot in your riblets, all up your legs. You know what I mean?
Back
Out
of the
there getting
leg.
yeah.
If they could make a reverse knee pad, that would be amazing. Like
yeah.
a reverse shin guard. Like think of a shin guard, but it goes around the back of your legs, or like a catcher pads, but on the back, they don't have nothing because it would probably take away your flexibility in your knee. So like the only thing that comes to mind are like hockey pads, but who wants to be out there in that?
Yeah.
So
No,
like,
but those are the stingers when you catch
yeah,
one, especially when you're not playing. It's way different when you're not playing, you know?
yeah. I'd say by the end of the event though, it gets pretty numb. You're
Yeah.
just kind of used to it. I mean, at the end of the day, like especially say if you're working for someone like John Dresser, his favorite thing to say is, I want the paint flying, right? Only way you're getting the paint flying is standing in the lane.
Getting roped.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all part of it, right? It's all part of the game for us.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Well-
you guys have to know the game, actually. You have to understand angles, understand how a field's going to play. You guys have to walk the field just like the players and coaches do, figure out, where you're going to stand, where's the action going to go down. I think a big part of what makes good videographers or even photographers is the anticipation of what's going to happen as well, which means you do need to understand the game. You need to have a decent enough paintball IQ to see things forming and say, oh, all right, this move's about to go down over here. Let me kind of reposition and get into my spot.
I think a lot of it's body language, right? If you've played the game, or even if you've just filmed or done photos or do some sort of media long enough in the game, you either have watched the layout through practice, and at the end of the day, you can only play a paintball field so many ways and be successful, right? Like it's not like a football field where there's no bunkers and it's just an open board, right? Like you have to, there's like 3 ways you're going to win. It's like chess. Like if someone goes here, you have to go here. If they go there, you better go there. And when you get to the top level, you know what those guys are going to do because they play chess like the book says you should. So it's that in your body language, right? Like Marcelo, when you want to run, you have a certain way your body looks. You always reload. You'll look over to the side, you'll come back, and then you take off. If Tyler Harmon's in a 1v1, he's moving in a triangle at all times, right? He's always going to be like coming backwards, then sideways, then forwards, backwards, then sideways. And I'm way off of my language there, but everybody has their little tell or their trait as they play as a media guy. And you're also playing probabilities, right? Or percentages. It's almost like gambling with the footage, right? We're out there playing our own high stake poker, but it's like, which way are you going to go? And I'm going to be there. So if I see, Marcelo and Ryan and Archie and Arturo all on the field, and then on the other side, I see Ronnie and I see Tyler and I see Chad George. I know right now that Marcelo is probably going to stay at the home. Tyler's going to be the 2 on the snake. Chad George is going to go in. Ronnie could be at the home, depending if Fedorov's out there or not. But like a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have never said Marcelo would be at the home or Fedorov or Ronnie would be at the home. You guys would be up the Dorito sides. So it's also like, as the game's going on, it's learning who you're trying to film and where they're going to play most likely based on where they've been playing all event. I mean, the first event of the season is not like the last event, right? Like, I would say the first event we're all learning every year, because every year you guys are all doing something different.
I think you just gave a better scouting report than maybe 40% of the coaches in the pro league.
I mean, I would hope not, right? Like, if I said anything that gives anything away, you shouldn't be pro. I'm sorry.
You'd be surprised, man. You know, coaching is something that, and huge shout out to the Coaches Show. I am so thrilled that they started that program, and I actually got to be on it. It was just released today. Those two, Ryne and Mike, are some of the best in the business at what they do. And to have this platform now to bring in coaches and share the perspective from a coach's point of view is really going to pave the way for divisional coaches and younger coaches that are coming up through the ranks, because really that is something. I feel like it was like 10 years ago where coaching started to become something where you could actually get paid to coach too. Like before that, it just wasn't really a thing. There would maybe be a handful of coaches that made any sort of money or even got their travel covered, you know, to be able to coach professional paintball. So coaches has kind of been like the last piece in the professional. Well, there's all sorts of stuff, right? Teams don't quite have a general manager. They don't have, you know, talent scouts and all that stuff. We need to fill out those positions eventually too, like other pro organizations.
A collective bargaining agreement.
Yep, 100%. We're going to get into that in a little bit. I'm excited to discuss, you know, kind of the media and player relationships. But coaches now, it's like you're seeing more and more of them, they are treating this like a real sport. They're doing it very professionally and they're building, you know, but we're still not there. We're not there to where, you know, majority of the teams in the professional division have a elite level coach. And as you go down through the divisional ranks, it only gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say outside of pro, I mean, paintball is already kind of a zero-sum game, and coaching's even more so. Like, what are the rewards? I mean, at most, as a coach, you're happy if your expenses are getting covered. At worst, like, you're not having to pay part of the paint tab because you're a player coach, right? Like, it's I mean,
are we talking about in divisional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pro is
totally,
definitely a different world, but yeah, in divisional and even pro, I mean, name 20 people in the world that you think would make you win a season in the pro division. I mean, yes, there's 20 pro coaches, but if you're building a fantasy paintball team, can you name me 20 coaches? It's kind of like when people start arguing quarterbacks, you know, I live in the Chicago area, so Justin Fields, it's like, can you name 10 better quarterbacks, 12 better quarterbacks? Like, to even be in the top 12 of something is, that's a big sample size, right? Like, because I think most people can maybe name 3 professional coaches, maybe 4, right? Like, if we're going fast, like, you know, we always go Mike Hinman, Ryan Brand, Dave Baines, you know, Todd Martinez. Boom, you have 4 that everybody knows just out the door, and you got Skinny Kevin, so 5. But like, then it starts getting you know, Rich Telford, we got that's 6. And I'm not trying to be insulting for anyone I'm leaving off here. I'm just saying, like, it's
Mike Bianca, Ryan Gray. They have the Coaches Show. Let's definitely include
there's 8,
those fine
right?
gentlemen.
But I mean, can we get to 20?
Alexi, forget his last name. I believe the other coach for Russian Legion is going to be making a little bit of a comeback. That'll be Maxime. That would be exciting. But yeah,
the Russians will be interesting.
I think that's a huge move. I don't remember if Tyler and I talked about that in the GOAT meeting or on one of the previous shows, but when we heard that Russians were, you know, trying to find a player, it's like J-Rab makes the most sense. Going home to, you know, where he really built his reputation and became a superstar. That's an exciting thing. I think it's really cool. You know, from a paintball fan perspective, I think it's cool. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. He's going to help them tremendously. I think majority of the people in the league probably didn't want him to go to that team because they were like one piece away. You know, they really were. They're just kind of one piece away. And if you look at that team and how they performed, they're so hyper aggressive. What they've been lacking is a little bit of that stability. And, you know, J-Rab is absolutely going to bring that. So definitely a cool move.
Yeah, it's nostalgic, you know?
It is.
It's got that nostalgia to it.
Where's Nick Sloviak going?
Yeah, March, where's Nick going?
I have no idea, man. Good question, but somebody needs to pick that man up. You know, I don't know if I were any of the like lower tier teams, I would have been calling him right away because he brings a lot to an organization off the field as well. Just a ton of experience. You know, he does have winning pedigree. He's been on a starting 5 recently, 2020 with the LA Ironman. He was a huge component to that victory. We do a lot of teaching and coaching with Nick, and he really understands the game. He truly does. You know, when you hear him talk about the game and teach it to others, he understands what needs to happen. He's really bright. He's been around a long time. So for a younger team, he would be a steal. You know, if I was someone like Blast Camp, you know, maybe I'd reach out. You know,
he's right down the road too.
Exactly. You know, so I don't know. I guess we'll see. Have you guys heard anything?
I mean, I haven't heard per se officially. I haven't heard it all, but like I have a speculation. I think that Todd, the gentleman who bought Level's spot from Pando,
Todd Adamson.
So like the Midwest has this rumor of Aftershock coming back, and if that happened, you know, Nick is an Aftershock like
absolutely
bread and butter kid. You know, that was where he learned to paintball. I would say he would probably credit. So like, you know, getting to stay home, be near his family a lot more, not having to travel as much. That would be kind of cool. But coming to Blast Camp be awesome too. Blast Camp's 10 minutes from my house. Anytime I get a film with Nick is a great time, right? There's always some good humor, good talk, and some good lessons.
I
had a blast with him at the BKI summer camp, and I actually can't wait to see all y'all here in like we got like 5 weeks until the combine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like you're going to be at Combine too. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be at the Combine and the camp this year. Anthony's locked both those in with Joe at Lone Wolf, so that has been put on the schedule.
Nice. I love it.
For 2024. And, you know, like Tyler said, when me and him first met was at a clinic, which those are, to be honest, near and dear to my heart and probably my favorite thing to film. And it's not because I just want to like take all the information and give it away. I think it does. One of the greatest things it does is expose how beneficial clinics are to people, because you can learn so much through a video and so much, but I can only film a 5v5 drill or a 2v2 drill with one camera too so well, right? Like nothing's like the real experience. And, you know, filming almost all you guys give clinics that, well, everybody in BKI, and even without you being at BKI this year, Marcelo, the one I did with you at Blast Camp was awesome. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, you guys are great at it. And it's one of those things, every time I get a film and share a little, I feel like it's like a commercial, right? Like here's a 15-minute look into it, but like come here for the weekend.
Yeah.
And the food's amazing. And I love food.
Oh, Carmen crushes it.
Carmen's the man.
You know, it's so funny. We were, so I host every year for Christmas Eve. It's been a tradition ever since I, you know, moved out, got my own place. But this year I didn't get to host. My older sister decided to go to Oregon and visit our other older sister who doesn't ever make it down. You know, it's tough being in different states. And then my younger brother, it was his turn to go to his wife's parents. You know, things just didn't work out, right? So Christmas Eve, my girlfriend and I just stayed home and got to relax. Sahar and I were just chilling pretty much all day. It was great, but we made meatballs, and she was, you know, making meatballs. She loves to take the recipe and roll the meatballs now. She feels like she's a little bit Italian. But Carmen commented on the little reel that I posted, or the story, and he taught me something that I didn't know. And I've been rolling meatballs since I was 6 years old. And Pops, if you could hear me up there, can't believe you never taught me this. He's like, if you wet your hands before you roll the meatballs, they won't stick. You'll get a perfect meatball. And I'm like, huh? So sure enough, started wetting our hands, and the meatball just perfect into the perfect ball. I can't believe that I didn't know that. Like I had my own technique to rolling them, and you know, it was never an issue, but seeing how much easier it was, I thought it was funny. So anyway, Chef Carmen is the BKI chef. He's there all week, and he cooks a feast, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's amazing. And real quick, I do want to shout out the Combine because it is coming up here the very first week in February. If you have any aspirations of competing for Team USA, this is where you got to go. This is where you get invited to the tryout. And the coolest thing about this year is we're also having the tryouts for the veterans. And I believe the veterans is 40 and up, unless they did officially change it to 45. I know they were talking about it because Dynasty and all the older guys, you know, all the pros are turning, you know, they're 42 and went and kind of swept it. But go to paintballcombine.com and you could get all the information. definitely hope to see you there. I know there's going to be a ton of U16s and U19 players. If you think you have what it takes and you want to go over to Paris and have an awesome time and help represent the United States of America, it's one of the most honorable events that I've ever competed in, coached in, played. You know, Tyler
Without
and
a
I
doubt.
got to rock with that last year. That's where to do it. So we hope to see you there, and excited to see the talent.
And who doesn't want to be in San Antonio in February?
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially if you live somewhere like Chicago. That's why I jumped on it.
I was going to say maybe someone in San Diego.
Look, I'm in Chicago.
I'm like, damn, it's probably going to be cold. It's going to be cold going there.
It's going to be warm.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Perspective.
That's funny. 100%.
What'd you do for Christmas, Tyler?
We had the family over. So Sarah's family came over. The kids, my boy Theo and Max were running rackets, you know, just causing mayhem, having fun. And it was just a nice little quiet Christmas Eve and Christmas. And then the family took off this morning. So pretty low key.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was really, really good quality time. What's the temperatures out there right now in Chi?
So believe it or not, it was actually like 50 degrees today.
Hey, there we go.
It was 20s, 30s the week before. And
sheesh,
for some reason coming into Christmas, like it fogged up real bad Christmas Eve because it warmed up so much. And then we had like 50 degrees today and yesterday. And
well, that's
then
nice.
I think,
that's good.
Let's see. It's 53 right now. So
there we go. Yeah, that's a breath of fresh air.
37.
Because it gets cold in the north up there. And I do want to touch base on Blast Camp and kind of get your feelings on that. Blast Camp is rolling into the pro circuit and did it. You know, they performed really well all year. Obviously, they took second place, but to be in the finals every single tournament, unfortunately taking that second place to Fit each tournament, and they dominated the whole year. Fit was unstoppable. But it's going to be really entertaining to see them duking it out again in the pro division. And Blast Camp has, you know, purchased that pro spot and will be playing. So what's your take on everything? I know you're rooting for them.
I mean, so yeah, it's hard to not root for the guys 15 minutes from my house,
Of
right?
course,
I think it's awesome.
yeah.
I got a pro team 15 minutes from my house.
Hell
Anytime I get to sleep in my bed and just get to go film and come home to my 5 and 12 or 5 and now 13-year-old and my wife, like that's a good work day for me, right? Like I can film edit one day, be home. There's no hotel, no airport, no travel. Love it.
And it's also so important. We talk about this all the time to have pro teams in all of these pockets of the country, you know, and having Blast Camp have that pro spot in the Midwest is huge for the surrounding area and any players that want to have dreams of getting into a pro camp, you know, so it's big for the area.
And I think especially with Level Up merging with the Bears, you know, after they sold their spot to Todd Adamson. So yeah, the Midwest gets to keep a pro team, but also, I mean, for all the people who say something about buying a pro spot, and this is by no means a swing, but like Tyler, your team bought their spot. Houston Heat, like they purchased their pro spot. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, like they've been one of the best teams to ever play paintball since they've been in the pro division, winning back-to-back world titles. Like you can't argue. So that's why I think when, you know, the people are like, you know, bot camp or whatever, the things you've seen, it's good fun internet trolling, but like I don't think the bottom 5 teams in the pro division can beat them.
I'm curious to see how it pans out because I
don't think they're going to be top 10. Like I love them, but I'm a realist, right? Like I look at things for what they are. And I think as long as Blast Camp can learn the key thing about the pro field, and that's learning to shift gears as fast as you need to, meaning you can come out in one plan, but everybody's got one until they're hitting their mouth, right? And then be able to change that plan without losing or getting frustrated, then they're fine. If they can't do that, then it could be a difficult year, but potentially they're 15th, 16th, 14th, you know, they're going to float in that spot. I don't think they're going to be facing relegation, right? Like, I don't think it's the Latin Saints situation, right? This is a team that's coming in that bought a spot after playing several years. You know, they've been playing together in the NXLs. With the squad for 5-6 years now, and that's not counting local or regional. So I think they do well. I mean, for their first year in, and I don't think we see them and Fit play each other that much. I I think we all
Yeah,
hope that, right? It's a great
right.
story, but with how the brackets work and drawing and everything, I don't think we're likely going to see both those teams on a Sunday bracket anytime soon, right? And I think that's the best place you're going to see them play. I could be wrong, right? Like, it'll be great story in the pro division if I am. But I think maybe they play once, maybe twice.
Yeah, I know for a fact that they are. I mean, I would be so surprised if they get relegated. I guess I don't know for a fact, but I would be really surprised if they get relegated. I think that they have a really solid core. They have a great team, great culture. They work really hard. And if they can get their grounding and just understand the cadence of the game at the pro level is a little bit different, you've got to really be punctual on your decision making and, be an outstanding unit together out there, cohesive, So if they can work through those dilemmas and get their feet underneath them, I think that they'll have a solid year, and it's going to be exciting. Like I said, this is great for paintball. I love the fact that they bought a spot and are in the pro league and chasing their dreams. At the end of the day, we're all fighting to accomplish goals, dreams, and they have worked really hard. I don't care what people talk all the shit in the world all the time. You hear it all day long, but I'm proud of them and cannot wait to see them take that field. Obviously, when they're playing us, good luck. And go kick some ass out there.
Yeah, I remember even talking to Ronnie Dizon. He's like, man, he's worked with them quite a bit and practices with them and drills and stuff. And he's like, man, we're friends, we're boys, but I don't know if I can do that anymore, right? You're the enemy now. Now you're my competition. When you're down there in semi-pro, I was going to help you all day, but
it changes.
I guess what I'd be curious for y'all though is how do y'all feel about teams buying spots? Like at some point, is the NXL going to lock you down? Like, is there going to be a board of owners that have to approve it to each other? Like, because the NBA, the NFL, any of these other what we would call the big sports leagues, right? Like, you can't buy or sell a team without a whole entire team owners board getting together and approving it. And some of this is to protect the league, right? You need to have the right optics. You can't have a Sterling situation again like you did with the 76ers. I don't know if you guys remember years ago they made the owner sell it off. So it's kind of one of those I'm curious. I know I'm the one I guess supposed to be getting interviewed, but
no, this is great.
I got questions. How do y'all feel?
It is a difficult conversation, right? Because I don't want to prevent that from happening, because you make a good point. Like Houston Heat is a great example. Having Randy and the Heat organization in the professional division is massive for the sport. It allows a route for players to really treat this like a real professional sport, get paid accordingly, and go all in on this thing. On the other hand, you have a Latin Saint situation where it blows up a few different teams. It caused a crazy ripple effect throughout the league, not just the teams, the players leaving one team, but now that team has to go after players, and it caused a huge ripple effect throughout the league, only to come and compete for one event. And they did well enough to get a second place, and then lost all their superstars, and then were literally fielding Division III players, right? So then for seeding and brackets, it just kind of made a mess of the whole thing and was a little bit of a mockery. Now, you want to prevent that from happening. I don't know how to do that. You could go through a better vetting process and say, hey, it's not just about the dollars, but what if nobody else is willing to buy a spot? Now what? You have 19 teams, or do you just promote the next semi-pro team? Maybe that's the answer. A team that's already been committed to the league for a full season, rather than an owner that has zero history. When Randy with Houston Heat came into the league, people knew who Randy was. He was part of Aftershock. They had just won in 2011. Like, he wasn't somebody that nobody knew. So you could kind of vet that. The Latin Saint thing was a different situation. Nobody really knew Diego. Nobody really knew where he was coming from. He had a Division II team that he was like kind of on and off with, kind of part of I forget what they were called, but they were essentially the TJ All-Stars, but they were called something different in the year they played in the US. No, not the Bastards. That's a completely different team. I forgot what their name was in the NXL.
Dogs.
Nope, it wasn't Wild Dogs.
No.
Dude, the wild dogs were so much fun.
The beating the box beating with the drum. That's what I want more of. I want to see more like antics. More than the emotional hype speeches are great, but like we need props.
Yeah.
Give Tyler Harmon his pistol.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Sidearms coming.
Yeah. So long story short, of course you want to do the best you can to not allow a situation like that to happen. But we're so small, we need to be able to field 20 pro teams, period. So I don't know, is the answer to sell the spot and have it vetted and just do a better job of vetting it? Yes, it'd be great if there was a board to do so. Or do you just offer it to the next semi-pro team? I actually think that's probably the move is, whoever is next in line in semi-pro, the second place team, like in this case, it would be Fit. Like, Blast Camp. But then if you're a team owner in the pro division, I would be like, no, you can't just give my spot to this team. Like I'm going to sell it, and you want to be able to take that to the open market. That's the whole point of running what quote unquote a business. I know professional paintball teams aren't quite seen as a business right now, but if that were the case where you could only sell it to, then we have to put a price on these organizations, and you can't do that yet. Dynasty is worth significantly more than the Latin Saints are worth.
Dynasty period. Is business.
Absolutely. So you can't just say like, all right, the cost is $50,000. So the Blast Camp, you want a pro spot? Revo's selling. Revo, you have to sell it to them for $50,000. It's not a one size fits all thing. We're kind of in the Wild West right now, and so. I do think we're kind of doing the best we can. I think the only step we could take right now is maybe having a board that at least votes on it. And there's some more consideration towards who can buy a spot.
If there has to be like a 2/3 owner approval. And because it's kind of like that, right? Diego, who knew him, but Virgil, the owner of Blast Camp, Jackson's dad, it's been in since prior 2020, right? They've had two or three good years in semi-pro. Like I think everybody, this man owns a nice paintball field, used to be a Nike missile base. Like he's going to get approved, right? Like
absolutely,
he's not going nowhere. His livelihood is invested into the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say promote another team or two, when the NXL was formed, they promoted 5 semi-pro teams, right? That's how New York Extreme got their spot. They didn't win a series or anything. They didn't buy it, but like when the old league shut down and this one was formed, they needed 20 teams, right? So I believe they promoted 5 semi-pro teams. So that's always an option too. I think at the end of the day or the end of the year, I think everybody in their hearts felt or knew that both Blast Camp and Paintball Fit should be in the pro division, because no one wanted to be denied the opportunity to watch that play again. Because outside of Dynasty playing the finals, there's not much else that gets the same views or attention. And I released the semi-pro Blast Camp video on Lone Wolf before I did the Dynasty video. And I think the Dynasty video is finally 1,000 or 2,000 views above it, like right at 20,000, where the Blast Camps are like 18,000. So it even shows you that those are two of the most wanted to be watched, full matches. And I'd be curious to know at GoSports. And I think those are things we have to take into consideration, right? Like what's the story it has? What's the emotion it can trigger? What kind of views does it get? And that's good and bad. Because some people don't like the heckler of World Cup. Some people
went wrong. Please try again.
Siri's on you.
Yep. Siri knows.
yeah.
No, I know it. There was a lot of controversy over that whole thing, and it was, a whole storm of emotion that was going on both sides, So
but attention it generated. Like
think about, there's going to be 100, 200 hecklers if this thing gets big, and we're still in the early stages, but it's, God willing, pray that paintball can keep moving on strong into the future. The economy stays strong, and it's going to continue to grow and flourish. And we're going to have to jump hurdles and deal with things that maybe we didn't have to when it was smaller. But you have to have like a big view and a big picture of the game. So those kind of things, you can't let it get under your skin. Verge is the man. I know he got kind of pissed and everything, but he was looking out for his team, and it was just like perfect little storm out there at World Cup.
Yeah, we've all done things, right? Like, I mean, I've
Yeah.
watched John Iannucci yeet someone across GoSports. I myself have tried to fight people when I used to play, and that's why I don't play anymore. And I have a camera, right? Like, this is paintball. Like,
Yeah.
that was one of the most. What happened? Like, someone hit someone with a parking sign a year ago, World Cup, and then like
Oh
the
my gosh.
the grid
Yeah.
coach that got knocked out for saying something racist during the finals match, like 2-3. Like, it's World Cup, baby. Something's got to happen. Was it
Dude, World Cup
Catalina
is
wine
crazy.
mixer or whatever? And it's the Catalina wine mixer. Like, it's paintball. It's
Yeah.
no one got hurt. Nothing bad really came of it. Nothing bad really
No.
happened. Like,
It's also sports too. I mean,
Yeah.
people act like it's only happening in paintball and it's going to ruin the sport. That's actually not true. We do have a little bit of an uphill battle. We want to try to present this thing as cleanly as possible because we have these paintball markers that, some people assimilate with guns, but at the end of the day, in all sports, you see fights. In hockey, it's literally part of the game. In
hockey
football,
parents is the first thing I thought of.
it seems like every game, all of a sudden, a couple players are pushing each other and a punch gets thrown. And then, there's a big thing. And sometimes there's not even a penalty. The refs are like, all right, back to your sides. Like, this stuff does happen in sports. There's a lot of emotion in sports. As a professional, you want to try to contain that as much as possible, of course. But look, it happens, so yeah, that's my opinion on that. I do want to kind of touch back though really quick about promoting 2 or 3 teams. Again, the reason that doesn't work is because the pro team that's giving away their spot, essentially one day, the way this should be ran, the direction we want to go in is that owning a pro team is lucrative. It's something that you treat as a business. That's how sports work, right? So if you're no longer going to be a pro team, you own the spot, you own the organization. It's you have the right to sell to whoever you want, and so, or again, maybe not whoever, but you have the right to at least sell it,
Well, then
so
the
league
semi-pro team could like have first dibs,
I think you set a baseline price, right? And then
Right.
what it is like you said, maybe the semi-pro team has to pay that baseline price, but like
Mhm.
if someone else is willing to offer more, then they have to match it, or you can go like you can
Yeah.
be really complex with
Yeah,
this. I mean,
of course.
we're
Yeah.
talking $20,000+ deals, so it should be as hard as buying a car as far as complexity, right? Like if you ever bought a car,
Yeah.
you're going to be in there for a couple hours to sign
Buying a
paperwork.
Tesla is so easy, bro. My lease is up. I could literally just do it on my app. It's crazy. They've revolutionized.
I mean,
they've revolutionized how
And
to
if you
buy
get 3
cars.
violations, they can also terminate your ability for autopilot. So like it goes both ways.
Oh, I don't
right?
use no, not autopilot. Full self drive.
Okay.
They can, but I don't use that.
Okay.
I want to drive my car.
I mean, I
Hey,
think so.
Yeah. It's those. It freaks me out, dude. I don't know if I could
I was
ever
like,
trust
what?
it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever fully trust it.
So what? I heard they recalled like 2 million of these Teslas. What's going on with that?
They didn't I mean, the recall was you needed a software update.
Okay.
So like everyone freaked out. It's hilarious. I mean, if you trade Tesla, it was like the perfect opportunity because we see this story over and over and over. There'll be like this big news article that comes out that is just the doom Tesla. Tesla's over 2 million cars, which is basically like all the cars they have on the road in the United States. This massive recall. And so it was presented that like all those cars have to be sent back. They're, unfixable almost. And it was like, what's going on with this? And I saw right away, no, they just need a software update because there was an issue with the autopilot. I'm like, oh, buy more Tesla, buy more Tesla. And sure enough, I mean, it's the stock is already back. And that's something that was an easy fix. That's what's so cool actually about the car is that when there are issues, you can literally just download the update.
Pull up your phone.
Yeah, you just download the update. You don't have to take it in. Like there's no maintenance. There's, to me, it's been the easiest car that I've ever had. I understand wanting gas. I have thought of this too. Like if it's the apocalypse and you got to get somewhere and the grid's down, I'm toast. Absolutely toast.
I mean, so install a home gas generator.
Yeah, for sure. I live in a condo.
If the power grid goes down, natural gas will still flow for weeks afterwards.
Yeah. Just I live in a condo, so kind of hosed.
No, you're good, baby. You're good. Hey, Rye, I want to before we dive into, there was a huge World Cup media shift that happened,
Yes.
just a few months ago. So I want to dive into that. But how long have you been in the game? Like, when did you get your footing in paintball, and how did that start for you?
So honestly, I picked up a camera for paintball in 2019 because of Ronnie Dizon.
Yeah.
So Dizon was helping me like coach free parking, run it, and like he was doing his own Dizon Docs vlogging thing. And he's like, "Hey, Rye, you need a vlog. You need to vlog this whole journey." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll try." So I bought a Canon M50, and to be honest, I hate being on camera. So it just kind of slowly turned to, instead of vlogging me, let me film you interacting with them, and I'll make videos of that. So like some of my first videos, which are horrible looking back, but were like Dizon and training for the Pro Tour 1v1, where it was like Patrick Kraft and Keith Brown and a couple other guys.
And me.
And you. That's right. That was the other guy, the
Yeah.
Tiger.
Yeah.
But so back then, like 2019, and then 2020, COVID, stress and everything, like I decided after, wanting to fight one of my own players, like I basically, I mean, I'll be honest, I spit on him in the middle of a clinic, and I shouldn't have, and I was ready to beat the shit out of him. Like we were going to go to town, baby. And he did the
Your head
worst
was
thing
on
he could
fire.
ever do after I did that, and that was he didn't swing. And I was like, shit. And
Yeah.
so like, and it all happened over playing, right? The heightened adrenaline and shit talking. And I don't do well with it. I don't do well with chirping. When someone chirps at me, Rye wants to fight you. Like I didn't come from a place where I grew up in 90s football in Texas, right? Like when you start chirping at me, like I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. This doesn't end when we leave the nets.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's good. We got you behind the camera,
yeah.
and you do an amazing job at it too. And like, shout out to free parking. Those one of the best styles of a team, like jerseys and all that. Love the style on that squad. And I'll never forget seeing you out there at that clinic that we did, different clinic than the one where things got a little crazy. But that was when I saw you and I saw the passion, and I knew you were going to be doing great things in paintball. And you have, man. You've continued to crush it. Your videos get millions of views, tens of millions of views. And it's really helping us drive the wheel forward for this game, having so many amazing media outlets right now in the game. So it's tremendous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So the shakeup you were asking about, though, was what you're really curious about.
Yeah, World Cup.
So basically, the NXL changed their marketing team. The reasons why, that's on those people if they want to be forthcoming with that or whatever. I guess Tom Cole just wasn't happy with the results, and the job he was getting was the best way to put it. So then just so happened around that time, Let's Talk Paintball or Vince was coming back, and Tom Cole and Kevin reached out to Vince, and they were like, hey, you're good in the public eye. You like these stats. We want to bring stats back. You seem to know a lot of the media. You did a really good job with the semi-pro field, WNXL pro field. So they offered him a job, and he took it. And he did ask for some recommendations, because when that happened, there were some like teams, the media is a team. You're going to have some loyalty. So like in any other teams, if someone gets cut, right, you might get mad and go with them. And that's kind of what I think happened with the NXL media team you saw on the photo side, right? Like Enrique and Verbal stayed because they're video guys. We're outlaws, right? We're not like the photographers. We don't band together as much as I hate you, you hate me, hate's not the right word, but there's like a creative competition, right? Most of the video guys are just like, dude, how much data did you shoot this weekend? Like, man, you know how many hours it's going to take to edit this? Like we're all friendly. And so with that said, the NXL picked up some new people that were, I like to say, the pre versus post 2020 media guys. There were some newer names that were hungry, and I think they killed it, right? Like I think some of the photos the NXL actually put out this year at World Cup were some of the most action shot driven photos. When before there was just a lot of like pit photos, intimate photos. Like, I mean, there was Little Mikey did a great job, right? He's an amazing photographer. Like no one can take that from him. but I don't think he focused as much on the aggressive playing style or catching the, getting that angle that's going to get you blasted to catch the two guys shooting at each other. And I think part of that is because one of the guys that did photos also does video. So when you put a video guy out there doing photos, they're more likely, I think, to stay there and get the shot because they're used to that. If you ever watch photographers, they're the ones running up and down the field as fast as they can to try to get the next shot, when most of the video guys just kind of like, I'm staying here, Verbal's down there, Enrique's okay, this is my spot, and we might kind of slowly drift, but like you never see us, because if we fall and trip, man, I'm not. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, the rigs you guys have are insane.
So yeah, I think the best way to say is just like, Tom Cole wanted some change. He got some change, and I don't think the old people did a bad job, but I mean, for my personal style, I think the new people just crushed it with all the pressure and the last minute change. Because you're talking about a team they got put together like 6-7 weeks before Cup, not like they had a lot of time. And from my understanding, all those people will be there at Vegas.
Nice. Yeah, it looked amazing. The developments that they had with the GoSports program that everybody could watch were really amazing to watch. I mean, you had the lanes being shown to the viewers, and the drone is, I think, going to make a really big surge into the future for paintball. I think we'll see a lot of really good quality drone footage. What's your take on the drones?
I love drones.
Yeah, you do.
But I think it's a Wild West, and with the removal of Gary Baum, removal is not the right word, but with Gary Baum no longer being involved with the NXL, there's no one to police them, right? There's no one to enforce any real rules. So like any sports, right? Like we've watched Bill Belichick to hardball, get caught for flag stealing and play call theft and stuff, right? Like cheating's real. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Rubbing's racing, all that good stuff. I think you're going to see players start using them hardcore for scouting. It's just too easy to get a $1,300 or less drone, throw that sucker in the air, put it right above, look straight down, and you have a new world, right? And I know this because I do this for the Lone Wolf team, like in our practices against Blast Camp and stuff, right? Like, and I share it with Blast Camp, and it's a tool. But at an event, someone can be a mile away, kilometer away, right? And then the legality of it's a whole nother thing. Pretty much everybody at the NXL is breaking the law with their drone, because I don't think anybody has a 107 besides GoSports, and they're flying them over people. So what do I think on a legal level? I think that there does need to be some policing of it. Like there needs to be, because it's not going to be long before two drones just collide midair, right? Like it's going to have to happen. I don't say it's going to happen. Like laws of probability say it has to happen if we stay on this trajectory with, the Wild West of it all.
Yeah, and I mean that poses a major threat to players, fans, anyone at the event.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'll be honest, like the drones everybody's flying, I've flown one right into me at full speed and it just collapses and hits the ground. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to have that same effect, right? It can hit an eyeball, it can hit a soft skin tissue. It hit my chest and hit the ground.
Yeah, I mean, how much do those things weigh? I mean, they're like,
mine weighs under 250 grams, so not even a pound, right? 249 grams. That's light. I mean, and even the big ones, they're not a pound. I mean, maybe a pound.
Still something to be mindful of, though, as we move into the future.
I mean, they can still do damage or just affect the integrity of the game, right? If they come down in the middle of a big moment or someone uses it, like it's devil's advocate. Like the media guy in me says, let them fly, right? We're going to get great shots and do great things. But then the fan in me and the person that just thinks on the legal and non-legal side of things is, where do we draw the lines with how close they can get to players, because bird dogging's a whole other thing, right? Like it's one thing for a cameraman to be looking at you with his lens. I could be looking at Dorito 1 or I could be looking at Snake 1, depending on the angle. You never really know. I mean, I've even showed Marcelo in videos where I'm like, man, your boy's trying to use me to find the snake player. He's going to get whacked for it because I'm not going to give the player away. I'm trying to be as mindful as possible about it. But with a drone, you pretty much, unless you're out there with a $5,000 Mavic 3 Pro that has 28x zoom, you pretty much got to be right above them, because to shoot in 4K, you can't zoom on most of them. So,
interesting.
If I know the drone's there, then, imagine what a high level IQ player like you two can do if there's a drone in a direct vicinity, because like GoSports is using the $5,000 plus drone, right? Theirs stays on the outside wire. It's able to zoom in and float all around and stuff, and it doesn't have to give you away. But that's not what majority of the divisional media guys are doing, and no one but GoSports is allowed to fly a drone over the pro field, which is smart, right? One drone, no accidents, give the people broadcasting right away. Those rules don't exist right now in the divisional field, and it is a free-for-all. And I'm out there, and I'm keeping eyes on mine, and I just see things,
whizzing
all
by
over the place.
I mean, doesn't it seem like that's an obvious rule that needs to be implemented? Like there should be something done about that immediately. How is that not? Like whose responsibility is that? If it was Gary's, has nobody filled his shoes?
They not removed, but they basically did away with Gary's whole entire role, like his position. And I think they tied it into like the head of marketing's job. But the problem is the head of marketing isn't necessarily a media guy who doesn't think of all these things, right? Like getting rid of Gary's job was not the answer to anything. In fact, it was probably a little counterproductive in some things. Now, if Gary did something that bothered them, maybe replace him, I don't know. But like to just all around get rid of it has definitely, I think, probably left some doors open or windows unchecked, right, on things like drones and stuff, because you have to have someone to just. Tom Cole's got a million things going on, right? So like to think about two drones colliding in air and smacking a player, like that's probably on the lower side of his visibility, right? He's not thinking there. He's like, all right, how do I get this to ESPN?
Yeah, and I mean the footage is looking amazing for the program. All the viewers, I would have to say, this World Cup was one of the best viewing experiences that anybody has had with the GoSports experience, and they've just continued to develop it, into this modern day and age. And I'm excited to hopefully see more stats come into the game, even if they're just really minor stats. I think having anything at all just adds that really good fabric that we need to the sport, and building stories, which Maddie does a tremendous job of on the show. So if he can have some more numbers, which I know he loves, he's got his pen and paper up there just going to town. And if he can have more stats on everything, it'll really add to that fabric.
Well, it's nice having Vince too, because I think Vince loves numbers just as much and likes to even go a little deeper. So I do know from personal conversations with Vince that like part of his role with the NXL this year will be to continue to bring more stats at each event, each thing. Because who doesn't like stats? I mean, even watching football, you're seeing it get more and more in depth of, how deep they're going and tracking things. And I think it also helps keep the history, right? To know that, Marcelo's the second player ever to win 50,000 events. I'm just making things up right now, right? Like I don't actually even know stats. I'm not.
But yeah, you're right.
These
it adds to the history.
These are the talking points that keep people engaged in sports all throughout the week, so that come game time, they have a reason to care. It's already built into them as to why they're going to tune in Sunday morning, watch all the games and all the teams and all the players that they've been learning about all week, and it's been at the forefront of their mind. If you turn on ESPN all week long, all that they're doing, and now there's all sorts of stuff. There's podcasts, there's this show, there's YouTube channel, there is a whole industry on people that literally talk about sometimes the most meaningless stat. So-and-so that's the first touchdown in below 32-degree weather at Chicago Stadium while someone was eating a French fry since 1967. Seriously though. And there's something about that. People just talk about sports all day. And when you're doing that, you know, like right now, it's a bummer. I feel like since World Cup, there's no storytelling. You know, like where is the storytelling about the event and the off season from? Like, honestly, that should come from GoSports. You know, the videographers are doing it. You guys are putting out media and clips, but that's different. That's different. There should be like as soon as a season ends in football, they are talking about the performances. They are breaking down the matchups. They are breaking down off-season moves. They are going so in depth to how this is going to help that team, how that team came up short here. You know, and the only ones that seem like they're doing it are like the independent individuals in the industry right now that are, you know, doing their own shows and stuff, right? But this should be like highly produced content to keep people engaged so that when next year rolls around, people are ready to subscribe to GoSports, ready to pay for that, you know, subscription so that they can tune in and watch the teams that they've been hearing and learning about all season or all off season.
Do you think GoSports makes enough off of subscriptions to cover the production value that they're already delivering at the events and continue to do stuff off season? I mean, so I think a lot of times when people
let me answer that real quick. Let me answer that question. So I think it goes, you could answer it in two ways, right? GoSports is a business. So if I was a business owner, I'm going to be looking at how can we get more subscribers? How can we get more people engaged? It might cost me a little bit in the beginning. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money, period. So let's do a little bit of math. You know, do you have any idea what their production cost is? Because that I don't.
It's not cheap.
I mean, so no, I mean, not without making big guess.
Yeah.
I know roughly what labor's paid out, but like what he has in production equipment alone, I mean,
Yeah.
It's on par with like a minute, like the XFL probably or something. Like the camera floating system, the mobile trailer, the stream decks or whatever he's doing. He's got probably what, 4 cameramen on each side of the field between the towers, the corners, and in the pits.
I think the production at the events has done nothing but improve, and they are creating these things. They're becoming really dynamite. World Cup was spectacular with the, you know, telestrator, the graphics, like excellent, right? If you're putting in all of that time, effort, money, honestly, how much more is it to get back to some of those interviews where Matty could do it from his house? You know, someone could do it from his house. These GoSports kind of productions that I do know Matty is working on something with GoSports right now, but when's it going to come out? Right. This has always been my gripe, but it's every off season. It seems like we let too much time pass to where the emotion from an event has already left people. They're no longer attached to it. So they don't really care when the product comes out. So they might not even watch it. So now the views and the numbers aren't that good on it. Right. So then you look at it and you say, oh, we shouldn't do this. This wasn't a good idea. Instead of just like really hitting things, you know, nonstop and seeing what that could do for us in this day and age with social media, with how easily things could catch fire. I would love to see if we made just a full all-in push to where everyone really, you know, went above and beyond, made the appropriate sacrifices. And let's see if we can help catch this thing on fire. You know, I feel like we can. And I mean, I don't know, you know, I don't know how many subscribers there are. I've, you know, heard 8,000, 15,000, but what is it, like $12.99? I mean, they're bringing in more than, you know, $1 million a year. So, you know, that's decent. I don't know what salaries are.
I have at least 500,000 in production minimum for a year. Between, I'd say 100,000 an event is a fair guess.
Okay.
And with that said, I think Darren does a phenomenal job. Like
Absolutely.
Production and stuff. And I know talking with Darren because he's always messaging me because he knows I have like a little team of cameramen and he's always trying to
Uh-oh.
Where'd he go?
Did we lose him?
Rye,
brother.
he froze up. We'll try and we'll see what's going on here. But no, he's absolutely right. The production has been outstanding.
It's better than it's ever been. It is the best iteration of professional paintball that we've ever been able to witness, hands down.
Without a doubt.
And unless I had all the numbers and everything in front of me, I can't like say something, you know, wholeheartedly. I'm just saying what in an ideal world, right? In an ideal world, we would have, and you know, it would come from GoSports. I don't know who else it would come from, right? GoSports is that's like that's ESPN. You know what I mean? That is the broadcast network. So I'm sorry to kind of put it on their shoulders. That might be a little unfair, but they are in that role. They are the company that broadcasts our sport. So, they're the ones where if we can get 1 million subscribers, all pro players are going to get paid, because now we can enter into some sort of agreement with them. The pro teams would be able to negotiate, the pro players would be able to negotiate like, hey, you're making X amount off our likeness. But right now it's like, we just want you guys to survive. Thank you for filming this. Thank you for all the effort. So those deals haven't been put in place, like they are in other sports. When the NFL gets a big TV deal, all the teams get paid a little bit more. How do they get a big TV deal? Their numbers are good, right? So for me, if I was GoSports, I'm looking at how can we make our numbers better. We've talked about it. I don't think it should be behind a subscription-based thing, but I get it. That's like their safety net. It's their safety net. And it's got to be a little worrisome, or you got to be a little fearful of like change. We talk about it all the time with our subscription to even play the game. We're like so worried about changing things and trying things because, if it's working, that's your bread and butter, so I totally understand. But again, it is imperative in my mind that we have in between events, there should be nonstop. I mean, it doesn't have to be every single day, but there should be at least like 1 or 2 things a week from the official platform that you're paying, $12.99, $14, whatever GoSports is now, a month. There should be something official that comes out. And they put together these nice little productions and often drop stuff like leading into World Cup. There was a lot of cool stuff, but it was kind of like one-off type things, I would love to see consistency to where, as soon as an event's over, you're going to have this show, that show, and that show. Those are going to be the 3 like 2-part series that you're going to get before the next event,
And it also keeps people super engaged throughout the off season, and they don't
Yes.
cancel the subscription, because I
And
know that
even in
when
between events.
and in between events, because I know there's people out there who, when there's not a tournament, they probably aren't paying for that subscription that month in between or the 3 months in between. But if you have these kinds of shows going on, it will retain a lot more subscriptions as well. So it's something to be mindful of. And shout out to everybody who has shows like PTG. We're out here doing the footwork as well, telling the stories, driving engagement, promoting GoSports as well, because it's such a tremendous tool that we use as pro players to not only watch paintball, but to get the stories out and to get tournament paintball in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And there's a ton of people out there that are doing that right now. So hats off to everybody who sounds the horn for paintball, because it takes all of us. We've got to tell these stories, and hopefully we can, get that traction with GoSports, because I think that's a great idea, having those stories in the off season, in between tournaments, really driving that engagement and having that professional ESPN type of culture for the sport is really important.
For sure, Ty. And, maybe that's a role that Major League Paintball is going to start embarking on. I know there is some really neat stuff coming up with, Paintball Nerd and his partnership. Shout out to Zizek. He's doing some amazing things with GoSports and Major League Paintball. So I know that they're all aware of this, and I'm sure that all of this is in the works. I don't want to sound like I'm coming down on these guys. I love GoSports. I really do. I support that. We support the hell out of them. I'm just saying, like, when you watch other sports, these are the things that keep me engaged. These are the things that make me want to continue watching. They're the things that make me want to miss other events on a weekend or on a Thursday night so that I watch sports instead of, going out with my friends. I'm like, no, I really want to watch Steph Curry play tonight. Draymond suspended again. He got
What's happening with him? Is he done forever?
He should be, dude.
He's a menace.
He's a menace.
I met him. I met him before, and he was just as menacing. Just as menacing.
Wild.
But speaking of sports and engagement, your boy is in the finals again for the PTG fantasy football for the third year in a row.
Oh,
baby.
Bro.
This is getting crazy. So,
bro, who are you playing? I forget. I think you're gonna win.
It's Cam, and he's got a strong squad.
No, but he got hosed, bro, because he lost like both of his receivers.
I don't know how I ended up here, because if you ask my wife, every time there's football on, I'm like, oh, I'm shot. My player's doing terrible. But then somehow, some way, Purdy did trash last night for the Niners. And if he would have just performed, I only won by like 9 points. So
Dude,
I don't know. It's crazy.
I didn't want to talk about fantasy football, bro. I got kicked out of the semifinals in my other league on Christmas. It was an amazing, and it was the Sunday night game. I had Ayuk, and he had McCaffrey, and I was up quite a bit before the game, and you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Just brutal. And I have Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and Brandon Ayuk. They're my three. They're my three receivers, right? And I was honestly, because I knew Snead was going to be all over Adams, I was like, man, maybe I should just sit Adams and play Chuba Hubbard in the flex because I have Hubbard on my bench. If I would have done that, I would have won by 0.4 points. Devontae Adams had his worst game of the season. I feel like all year long, here he is, RyGuy, my brother. But I feel like all season long, that was my story. It'd be like, I would lose by a couple points, and it would be because the person I'm playing against has one of the players has the best game of his season, or one of my guys literally just has the worst game of the season. I'd hardly lose, and it's just so frustrating. But fantasy is a great example, of keeping people engaged in sports. Why we need stats so that we can get this fantasy paintball popping. We have it. We're ready. We are ready, but we need stats, and that is a little conflict of interest for us to do the stats. We would like to assist and help, maybe with some funding through fantasy paintball. Not sure how to exactly get that going, but we have fantasy paintball locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah. I think funding's the biggest thing that just prevents everything that we want done, right? Like, because back to what we were talking about before Windows decided I needed to update. If someone gave, say,
that's why you need a Mac.
I got one of those too.
You're on the wrong computer today, bro.
This is just like my gaming computer because Mac doesn't like all the games, right?
Yeah, facts.
But if we say if someone gave Enrique, let's say Darren gives Enrique 150 grand, and his job is to do nothing but make 2 videos a month or something for GoSports of all the events. I think right now the problem is that there's not enough people offering guys like Enrique or Verbal what they could be worth to do that. And so
because you don't see the return yet monetarily. That's the thing, is it's like where's my return on 150 grand? Can we is it tangible? And it's just not yet. We are in a stage where we kind of got to spend money to make money.
Right. And that's the realistic number, right? Like, because I think guys like Enrique or Verbal to do what you're talking about should get paid way more than what I'm making. I love doing you ever seen Whistling Diesel? Like, I love the raw edits. Well, he's one of the most like watched car YouTubers ever, but like it's raw. It's most of his stuff's done on GoPros and iPhones, and he's like melting Ferraris in cornfields and stuff.
Wow.
Like dead serious, just making a fortune. But like that buttery smooth edits and quick ask and adding in all the overlays and stuff, like Enrique would kill that. I think Enrique would absolutely destroy it, and the sport would do great. And I know 100 people have already said it if we did like the Netflix Formula series, right? But again, I come look at the players. That's the biggest. I mean, I love you guys, but that's the biggest issue at events. You guys aren't forced to do stuff with us. There's no fines. There's nothing making you, because you may not make.
No one's paying us. We're paying to be there.
So
as players, we pay to be there.
Yeah. So me getting a 5-minute interview clip could be based on your emotional state, right? Depending on if the game was good, if the game was bad, if you have to be at a team meeting, if you want to just get out of the heat because it's hot, and all these things are understandable, right? But as me, I've only got access to you for those couple of days, right? And when I have access to you outside of that, it's not the same. It's not the same to do those interviews or those talks, right? So like I think 50% of it's money. It's paying a guy to do that, to do that for all the event footage. Because I know Darren's always looking for someone who's willing to go through all the footage and make edits. I think Art's the guy who does it now for a lot of the stuff. But I mean, he's only one guy, and he's got so many tasks to do. And
I think they brought Zizek on board, and Paintball Nerd kind of partnered with them the last couple events of the season and did a pretty excellent job of like, these little recaps and a lot of Instagram type stuff. I would love to see that.
I don't know if that's going to continue or not, unfortunately.
I think it is.
Is it? That's awesome.
Yeah, I believe it is.
I was talking to Isaac, and of course, Isaac's a really straightforward guy, but I don't think he was certain yet. Like, I don't think there is anything set. It should.
Right.
It should 100% continue. We need 3 more.
Absolutely.
Like, because like you said, even the coaches show, right? Like, from what I understand, Tom Cole pretty much got told, like, one of the biggest issues with paintball is that we don't have a sports center or a talk show where, I mean, we have these, but we don't have the league doing it. And I think that's where the
Right.
coaches show is more like what Kira, Tom Cole's wife, was doing, and being like a at event league. Because think about
correct me if I'm wrong though. The NFL doesn't do that. ESPN, Sports Center, they do it. They are not the NFL. Is it the league's responsibility? The league's responsibility to me, and that's always a murky question, right? Again, is it my responsibility as a professional paintball player or Tyler's to, pursue media and try to grow the game that way? Probably not. But is it the best way forward to help this thing improve? Yes. So, like, to say, is it the league's responsibility? Whatever. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But
so when I say the league, I could speak better. I guess what I'm saying is the league's responsibility to decide who's licensed to be that official partner, right? So, like, let's say the league has GoSports. They're the official partner, right? GoSports has the broadcasting ability. So even at an NBA game, you have the broadcasters, the announcers, you have the Matty Marshall and the Rich Telford, right, in the booth. But then you still have, Shaq or whoever, Charles Barkley, whatever channel you're watching, you have the staff that's then like the coaches show or the sports center, right?
Yes,
like, and
absolutely.
that's something that at events, I think paintball is missing, that in between time to educate, to break down, to give the quick highlights. Because one of the greatest things I love about like the NFL ticket and everything I have with YouTube TV is it's like, do you want to watch the game live? Do you just want to watch the highlights? What do you want to do? Right? It gives me the options. Go, I just want the cliff notes. Let's get through this real fast. And it's, again, like, if we had more people that could go through the footage live and do those highlight reels as we're going, like what we're doing with Lone Wolf, that would be awesome too. And I know Darren told me he is looking to hire someone that can film footage and edit reels and post them in real time at the events, like what Lone Wolf's been doing. What his budget is, I don't know. I know,
right,
on average, like the cameramen, I think they have like around a $300 a day like budget to pay those guys, and it's kind of even further for that, like, what Ryan Greenspan was talking about, how he wants access to media and stuff. I don't think you can really force access to non-league media, like say Lone Wolf or like the platinum sponsor guys, because, like Lone Wolf, we're paying a lot of money every year to get
it's like
access.
60 grand, I think, right, to be a platinum sponsor. That used to be the number.
23 or 24 grand. I think 60 grand's the paint sponsor.
Yeah, the platinum, so you get everything, but you get a media pass with the lower tier.
No, so platinum sponsor. So there's platinum sponsor, and then there's paint sponsor, right? The paint sponsors are like a little above the platinum sponsors,
right?
So like, because like Lone Wolf's considered the same level as a paint sponsor because we pay even extra to have the Lone Wolf field be the premier semi-pro WNXL field all year round. Why, like, the other sponsors are rotating their fields, right? They may not always have a bunker set, but like HK, Valken, and ProShar, I believe, are considered a tier above platinum, being the paint sponsors, and they pay, I think, 60 grand to be able to sell paint. And then the platinum sponsors is like 24 grand or above, but you have to be platinum or above to get the media passes. And you get two media passes, 4 vendor tech passes. So like DLX can have 4 techs in the pits, or, Field Force 1 can have techs in the pit, or whoever, and it's a good system. But someone like Lone Wolf, right? We get booth space, but we don't bring a booth to sell anything. So why would Lone Wolf pay for access to just then have to pay me, then pay for the flights, to then just pay me to organize it and just give it away? Now, with that said, the NXL has event media, right? They have the guys they pay a day rate to do their stuff. Now, those guys, if you paid them an extra day or two past the event to organize stuff by team, and then the league delivers folders to each team, that makes some sense. But like the whole thought of you can't sell someone a photo of them, just because you pay there, I mean, bro, you go to Disney World, you pay an ass load to go to Disney World. The first thing you do when you walk through the gate is they take your photo and then they're like, you want to buy it? Would you like to buy your photo? Very first thing they do at Disney World, and you pay a shit ton to be there.
That's a good fucking point.
I mean, it's what it is.
It's funny.
I think you pay for the frame that it comes in.
So you pay for the digital email I send you the one in, right? Like but with that said, like I've never told someone no, I wouldn't give them something I posted of them. Right now, to put something in writing or make me sign something, we just change the things, right? Like there's the gentleman's handshake of it all, right? Like there's the understanding, like, you know, I'm going to film you, Marcelo, and if you like what I film and you want a copy of it, then just send me a message and I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But to tell me I need to sign something saying I will always, like, I'm just not going to film you. I just like, so that's the, you know, and I talked to Ryan a few weeks ago when he had said the thing about the photo he bought, and I think he's misunderstood a little bit. And I think he does, to a degree, believe that any media of him should just be given to him. But also, the problem is a lot of what I think paintball pro athletes don't understand is there's a difference between commercial use and personal use. And a lot of times, most of your paintball accounts are commercial accounts because you are selling a product. You're selling yourself. You're not asking for a photo to just like post of yourself to say, hey, mom, look what I did, and make it your profile photo. You want to sell a clinic. You want to sell a jersey. You want to sell a headband or a gun. You're trying to sell a product.
Yeah, in the same breath, though, you could argue that the same is being done by the media on their personal accounts when you're posting reels. You're using our likeness to promote yourself and sell a product, which is, you know,
and at
a
the moment,
similar line.
At the moment, the player signs something to release the media, right?
Right.
When you,
so I mean, certainly the way it's structured now is
changes something.
Totally.
Now that's just where that conversation is now.
Yeah.
With real bonuses being gone, I mean, I would say most media that's on the pro field, they're being paid by a company, right? So that's the other thing too, is the pro players like look to the sponsors. Like, because I take all the video I take, right? Everything I take gets put on a hard drive and it's given to Lone Wolf. So if Lone Wolf sponsors you and you want that footage, if you contact Lone Wolf, then they have an employee that can take the time to give it to you. But coming after the media man, like that's one guy that's part of a whole company. So like, who's that media man turn that footage to? Maybe that's who Marcelo needs to talk to, or that's who Tyler needs to talk to get his footage, right? Like, because there's only one of the media guys. So when all of a sudden World Cup ends and I've just been messaged by 30 different pro players, by the time the 30th one messages, maybe I am a disgruntled photographer. And I'm like, you know what? I want $15 to go look for this. All you guys ever do is message me wanting things. It's kind of like as a pro paintball player too, right? How many times do people message you just wanting things? Let me get that jersey. Let me get that gun. You know, let me get it. Let me get it. Let me get it. And I think, you know, maybe the guy was serious that wanted $15. I don't know. But maybe it was also just in that moment, he was frustrated and just like,
well,
you deserve more than $15, dude. I'll tell you that much.
I do want to
more than $15. So we're good.
I do want to be really clear on my position and how I actually feel about it. I mean, Tyler and myself, we hire media almost every event. I personally will always pay a photographer. You know, Enrique does most of my reels. I always pay him. Actually above and beyond, because I appreciate the work. You know, I was coaching Enrique's brother when Enrique picked up a camera and, you know, said, hey, I'm embarking on this journey. And it's been amazing watching. He's become one of the best in my opinion. So I fully support it. First of all, I do and would just love to see more of a working relationship between the two. And I agree with you. Like, we're not at a place where we could be like, all right, you have to sign this, or, you know, and I get access to your entire folder and I want you to shift through and give me my stuff. That doesn't quite work either. Right. But
now what if you and the sponsors make that agreement though? Right. So like, because at the end of the day, it's the sponsor who owns the pro passes, right? So like I work for Lone Wolf. So, and this is how it should be. And some media guys might not like me for this, but like I tell most guys, I'm not really a content creator. I'm a businessman, and I create a product, and my product is my media. So my product reflects whatever sells best. It's not what my personal feelings are. And I look at everything with media and paintball and the business world like that. And so, BFP sponsors Dynasty, right? They do a good job of you guys, Salzar, like, he's killing it,
Sal's
right?
the
Like,
man, dude. He
doing
really is.
great stuff. I love watching his work. Like, and
He
comes up-
has this like creativity where he connects. Like, for example, Rye, have you seen this little square that's popping up on my screen?
Yeah.
The autofocus AI thing.
Yeah.
He put out a reel. I don't know if you saw it, where like that square is following me the whole time, and it's like just a funny correlation, So like I thought it was hilarious. I will fix that eventually. Right now I'm in a phase where it's the holidays, and I also am like, I think it's kind of funny right now. I'll fix it soon.
I'm using a webcam when I have a $10,000 camera I could have set up and had like crisp. I could be like verbal and hear crisping in there, and I'm just like, it's the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Verbal sounds like he's like podcasting or video broadcasting from heaven or something when he's on his. He does. His whole setup is so clean.
This is your conscious speaking.
His setup is so clean.
When I'm angry, I ask myself, what would verbal do? He would just say, all right, brother, and walk away. Okay, that's what I need to do. Like, I mean, verbal and Enrique are two of the best, right? Like, most people probably don't know this, but I used to pay Enrique to edit my footage back in like 2020. When I first started out, I didn't know how to really use editing well, like do the cuts or anything. And I was paying him $100 a video, just kind of what you said. I was making the investment into myself to build a YouTube. Right. I was not making $100 a video off YouTube by any means. But looking back, it was some of the best money I spent. And he's now one of the greatest friends I have in this, on top of verbal. Like, and that's why I'm happy where I am. And I look, and I always recommend them too, because I think they're eyes for this, and they're the two guys that don't have that paying industry job yet that should, especially with real bonuses being dead. Because you have Nate B at Die, he does phenomenal work. You have Salzar with BFP. You got me and my guys over at Lone Wolf. You got Yosh Designs now with GI. So I think companies are starting to spend money.
Right.
Well, what we need now, the finishing effect, the problem is that's $100,000 a year job, $150,000 a year job. Like in real talk, like the amount of work it really is. And to get these guys, because that's the other thing. If you've noticed, RyGuy, like as a personal brand, has died ever since I've really gone into Lone Wolf, right? Like I might post 3 times a month, 4 times a month to RyGuy. I just posted the first public video on my YouTube in a long time, and it was only because it's the first video Rye ever made in 2008 when I was in Afghanistan. I decided on Christmas Day, I was like, you know what? I got this old video I shot on a Sony Handycam when I was running around there, and I decided to post it onto my YouTube, and it's public for anyone who wants to go watch it. That's different Rye. That's what made Rye who he is today. Kind of, that's what got him so angry. Give him the demons.
People need to support. So where can they follow you on your socials? Obviously, go follow Lone Wolf Paintball, lonewolfpaintball.com.
You keep following Lone Wolf, I keep getting paid, and I am happy to buy from Lone Wolf too, because I need a raise. Let's go.
Right. And they're they've been a sponsor of PTG, and one of our, not just a sponsor, but really good friends in the paintball industry. I love the entire company, top to bottom, everybody that works there, ownership, employees, just phenomenal space to be at, and a great energy for paintball in general. They just have the best vibe ever. So major love to Lone Wolf. But where can people also follow your personal stuff?
So RyGuy Media on YouTube, RyGuy Media on Instagram and Facebook. My Facebook's actually just broke 100,000 for some reason. That's going up in followers. Why Instagram's just going down. But even verbal
on this roller coaster of
stuff, and I'm like, man, you post 10 reels a day. There's no reason you should lose anything.
Verb's one of the goats. I mean, he's
absolutely
a major part of PTG, and we absolutely love Verb and everything that he's doing in the space as well.
And I know he's not here yet, but I would love to congratulate my man on his second kid coming really soon. In the next 2 weeks or so, probably. Papa Verb's time too.
Yeah.
I watched him with Billiam, his first kid. I've never seen a man that was already so light up so much more with that kid. Getting to watch him through Instagram, seeing some father stuff going there, being a little older dad myself, having a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old. I love seeing him with kids, man. It's awesome.
That's a beautiful thing. Congrats, Verb. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, Verb.
But
all right. So go ahead, Rhymes. You wanted to finish a thought there.
I don't remember where my thought was now.
So I want to just dive into, we have some PTG World Discord chat questions for you. People sounded off in there heavy.
Okay.
And then I kind of want to just run through some hot takes. We got some movements going on. We got activity in the paintball landscape of the pro league. We've got Tom Guest going to the Ironman. The Ironmen are making some huge shifts right now. I think that we're still going to see some developments there. Al Fernandez has parted with the Ironman, and we don't know exactly where he's going to land yet. March, what do you think? I guess we can all kind of chime in on these, but with the Ironman and everything going on with that camp.
I think they are looking for a full revamp. They picked up Damian Vasquez. That news got released today, which is awesome. Damian is dynamite. He's a hell of an attacker. And it seems like Shane is, he's a winner. Shane Pastana is a winner straight up. So
yes, he is.
I know he was really frustrated with how last season went, and they wanted a completely clean house. Seems like they're going to bring in some big names. I don't know if everything's been released, but it sounds like a couple top players from one of those camps that we were talking about potentially selling early on in the show might be making a move out west. Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to do much better, I think. At the end of the day, it does come down to chemistry. You need players that fit well with each other. That's actually what I think Fit and Blast Camp have in their back pocket, even being new teams in the pro division. They've been around and played together for a long time. So that core is really confident in how they play with each other. So sometimes it's not as easy as picking up, 2 or 3 people from this team, 2 or 3 from that team. Cause then what's the culture? It's kind of like America, there's not much of a culture. It's a hodgepodge. We have a mix of so many different, types of individuals. It's kind of the same thing. You need culture. You really need it on a team. So if you take like a core from this team and a core from that team, it's going to be a large, a big job for Shane Pastana to blend everybody and really be definitive in what the culture with the Ironman is going to be. I think letting go of Nick Sloviak was a rough one. He's like, he brings a lot of experience and I think we talked about it early in the show. Again, he was part of that 2020, championship team. He played just about every single point. Loved Nick. He's been one of their best marketers. I wonder if he's still going to work for Die. I'm sure he will. Maybe
so. On Facebook, he has said he 100% is still working for Die. From just kind of comment creeping.
Got it. Cool.
So
as he should. But.
Yeah. I wonder, we still don't know where Nick's going to end up, but it could possibly be a Die team then, huh? If he's going to be
Russian Legion.
Yeah.
Him and J-Rab. So I know a lot of people think, Nick to Blast Camp, but I don't see that going well because Nick would just take Jackson Frey's spot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't see that going well either. Yeah.
I don't see that one happening. Jackson Frey's the team captain, the team's built around him. That'd be like replacing, Colton Dahl on New York Wrecking Crew. You're just not, it's not going to happen. But I would be curious to see where Nick. I still think Nick goes where whatever Todd's doing is kind of my guess. Now that's just kind of watching the jokes of the Midwest internet saying Aftershock's coming back, and I'm just like,
I know.
You know what? Nick's still working for Die. Why wouldn't he want to spend more time at home?
There is a big buzz around that. I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out or what's going to happen there.
I do have a question for you, Marcelo, though, that a bunch of people have asked me in the Dynasty video, in the pit part one time, all he screams at no shoes in the house.
Yeah.
What is he referencing when he says that? Do you want to share that? Or is that just
totally. He totally butchered it, but I love it. And I love that that's become a thing. Oliver he's just the best. I love having him around, and being around that guy is just always a smile. It actually started last year during Nations Cup. And then this year during Nations Cup, picked it up again. But we were in France playing in Team USA. And I was just 100% for shooting my guy off the break. It was ridiculous. We're in the prelims and everyone's having fun. You've got a mix of players from all the other, pro teams getting together. And I don't know what sparked it, but it was like the 8th point in a row. I shoot someone off the break and I come into the pit and I'm like, shoes off, no running in my house, shoes off, no running in my house. And then everyone was dying laughing. I don't know why I said it, but then I kept saying it throughout the event. And then I actually didn't really say it again until this year at Nations Cup. Again, I'm shooting people off the break and I started saying it. And it just kind of stuck. And then I brought it into World Cup and I was like, you know what? Like this event, I'm going to make it a priority to make sure that I'm shooting people off the break. And I certainly did. I shot a lot of people off the break, especially going to that interior spot, the can on the Dorito side, which was a tough spot to shoot. I was like, as soon as I saw the field, I was at practice and I said, this is my shot. I'm going to dial this shot. And if I can connect on this at a high percentage, we're going to have a good chance at winning. It's just going to make it really difficult for teams to play against us. And so it was just part of kind of being in the zone. And Oliver, when he first heard it, he loved it. He laughed. He's like, that's so funny. It's so creative. I said it, in one of the prelim games, I was doing well, shooting people off the break. I came in, I'm like, no running in my house, shoes off. And then, so then that's where it came from in the finals. He said, what did he say again? He's like, no shoes in the house, which is his play on it. No shoes in the house. I'm like, yeah, it's no running in my house, take your shoes off, but that works.
Okay. I assumed it was kind of a play on a mom yelling at their kids or something kind of thing.
Oh, that's funny.
But
that's
so
funny.
Nations Cup makes sense, right? I don't go out there. I didn't know where that started from, but I've had a bunch of people send me a message like, what's he mean? I'm like,
yeah, that's
there you go.
It's meant to be no running in my house, shoes off,
house.
Shoes off.
Yeah. Shout out to Team USA holding it down this last year out there.
Yeah.
And having a bunch of fun.
There was no shoes allowed in Ty's house either.
Yeah, baby.
It was, bro.
We were going for it.
Break.
Yep. We were getting them. And then a couple more topics to talk about. I just want to give a shout out to Michael Johnson. This dude has been working so hard. He just made the move to Austin Notorious. So big ups to him. Al Fernandez and Scott Graham have departed LA Ironman, and we're still going to see where they are going to land. And same with Greg Montalvo from the Saints, Brandon Fortman from the Saints. We're going to see where they're going to land. And there's going to be a lot more shakeups happening as we roll into January. New Year's is right around the corner here, happening this Sunday. And I'm sure, I know I'm going to be playing some paintball this weekend, and I hope everybody else is out there having fun, shooting paint and getting ready for the new year. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious to see what happens with the Bears and NRG merging, with NRG selling their spot to camp. Like, how's that roster go?
Yeah, it's powered by NRG, so I don't know what it all means. I guess we're going to see here as we roll into the new year, start getting some practices going and see what they look like out there. But yeah, I'm just as curious as you are how that's all going to function.
There's going to be a lot to happen in a little bit of time, because the season's like 75 days away or something, right? We're coming fast. Vegas,
that's
baby.
Right. Vegas, roll the dice. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see. I definitely think there are still some shakeups that are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
Right. We got Nick in here. Tyler kind of asked, but predictions on Ironman 2024 season placement. So if you had to put a number on it, where do you think the Ironman will rank end of next year?
17th.
17th. I'm going to say a little higher. Maybe this is because I know some players are picking up, but
so that's the thing. Are we?
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
I thought you were in the know though.
Right, but I'm acting like I'm not.
Yeah, but you could still.
I mean, I would say that this is what I would say is that they are safe from relegation. Like we're this year where we're like, it might go, if the Saints finish high enough, maybe we lose Ironman. I think this season, more than any in the past 2 or 3 seasons, will be a safer run for the Ironman. And I think, and I love the man who owns the team because I love his hats, but Uprising, right? I think they're going to be the team that's kind of in the hot seat, right? I think,
agreed.
When you open the book and you look at what's there and we look at all the information and whatever, I don't
totally agree.
I hope I'm wrong, but if someone's got to go and we're making guesses, I think Uprising gets relegated in 2024.
Damn, yeah, and I love that camp too.
Yeah, great guys, great camp. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
being mean or saying anything
No,
against
of
them, but, like,
course.
I got to
Yeah.
pick someone, right? Or I'm looking, and you know, I just think it's them. They're the ones I'm not seeing make any real big changes in the off season, and the teams that they were kind of a little bit ahead of have done some dramatic things to
Yeah.
change, you know,
Yep.
adapt or overcome or die.
Straight up. Yeah, we got Breathe. And thank you to everybody who is part of PTG World. We actually have some really cool developments heading into the new year that we're going to be dropping the first day of the year of 2024 in regards to getting involved with the chat and getting everybody in here. We've got Breathe here. He's wondering, hey, Ryne, what's your biggest pet peeve shooting media for teams? Divisional, pro, what's your biggest pet peeve?
Honestly, it's the guy who messages you that didn't pay for media, and they're like, hey, will you look up this clip for me and like get it? No. Book media. I don't know who you are. If you were the guy in the Doritos and the black ProFlex, there's 1,200 of you. In the Doritos with the black ProFlex, like guys who like are just like, I saw you, and I get it. I understand it's a excitement thing, right? Like you want that clip or something, but that's the message I get the most, where I just like, I don't have the time to go look for it. Like I just don't.
It just says read by your message at this time.
That's probably the most polite response I have most of the time, and I'm trying to be mindful of the way I speak sometimes, because I'm not good messaging, right? Like I can be very brash in Messenger, and that's not.
It's better to just leave it read, you know. Just says read there.
Or a lot of times what I honestly do is I'll be like, hey, sorry, Lone Wolf pays all my travel and bills, so if you would contact them for the clip.
Yeah.
Sorry,
do you feel the same about pros? Since I assume that's a little easier for you to find, but if a pro reaches out to you,
so with pros, as long as it's a clip that I have posted or Lone Wolf has posted, it's easy to do, right? Like that's in a folder ready to go.
Right
now, if pros are asking me about footage that like hasn't been posted, to be honest, there's only one person who does that, and his name's Ronnie Dizon, and I just give it to him because he's the reason I picked up a camera. So,
shout out to Don.
Yeah,
I mean, like
you've always been great to me as well. If I've ever asked you for anything, there's never been a doubt of hesitation. Again, that's why that was part of why I wanted to have this show. Is I feel like you know, the show that Ryne did, I understand his perspective, but it to me, it seemed like it almost created a little more of a divide. And I want there to be a good working relationship with the media and the pro players, because at the end of the day, again, that's why we hire someone almost every event. Like we'll support, man. Just, you know, in return, like, shoot, if you guys post a clip and we want to also share it, we'll give you all the credit, but it would be awesome if we can, you know, if we can do that. And then, you know, if we could all help each other, to me, that's the type of business that I like to do.
Yeah. And then like, as long as you're giving me access or taking the time and we're making the content, I don't think there's a reason I shouldn't share it with you. Right. But like, my issue is just when we talk about signing things. Once we talk about like putting signatures on things, then it's like, but like a handshake of thing, because like you guys could always tell Vic, hey, RyGuy can't be in here, and Vic's gonna put up the tape and be like, get out of here, Ryan. I'll be like, let's go, Vic. But I mean, like there has to be a good two-way thing, and I think
totally.
I had a conversation with Ryan Greenspan, and I get what he's asking for. It's just like the way he said it didn't come out right.
That usually happens with him. He usually has better intentions than how it comes out.
Fair enough, because I even told him, I was like, hey, like if I post something you want it, Ryan, just ask me for it and I'll send you the folder and like give credit or something, right? Like and honestly, I will say the other pet peeve is people just taking stuff and not asking for it, because when you take it, you actually degrade the quality to where if you ask me for it and I send it to you in a Google Drive, then it's full quality, right? And like
that was a question in here, so Cyrus must have done that. You know who Cyrus is by chance?
Hey, and Cyrus just he went pro.
Shout out to Cyrus, one of the goats in PTG Nation. Just turned pro, joining Fit. He's actually moving out to Texas to live there full time and train with these guys 3-4 days a week, work at the field.
I might see him in like a week. I'll be
from
the 4th to the 8th doing interviews.
But his question was, explain why you hate when your customers screen record your content instead of downloading
that's even worse.
That's even worse.
That's even worse. So what I hate is when I send something in a Google Drive and you screen record the Google Drive preview and then post that, I'm sending you a 4K clip and you just screen recorded something that's playing back at like 720.
Oh
Like,
no.
this is my calling card, baby.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
what
no.
represents me. And,
Yeah.
and you know what? If you paid for it, I probably shouldn't be mad, but it's one of those things like, I want some pride in how I'm represented, right? Like, if I'm going to go out
For
there and
sure.
get shot for you,
For sure.
just hit the download button.
Hey, that is simply a knowledge. I promise you that
It is.
people don't know. People don't know. I know for a long time, I didn't realize, like, if I screenshot a photo that the quality was way, I had no idea. And like, it's honestly only like the last year and a half, 2 years that I've learned about quality and all of that. Just had, PTG has taught me a tremendous. We're paintball players, man.
Just like posting with an iPhone looks better than posting with an Android, and it's simply,
my man, dude.
It is simply because when the apps were designed, they were designed for how an iPhone zips and unzips data packets. So the way that the apps can handle the compression is completely different. Like, people are like, "This is opinion." No, bro, it's fact.
Hell yeah, brother.
Like,
You just this is a huge debate in the PTG Discord. We talk about it
all
nonstop.
day.
We did just convert one of the longtime OGs, Chris Tucker. Shout out to Chris Tuck. He just got an iPhone. He converted from an Android. He's like, I love it, dude. I love it. It's the best.
I was a Samsung guy, an Android guy all the way until I got big into like posting and stuff, and I could see a physical difference in my stuff, and I was like,
wild.
I got 2 iPhones now. I got a work phone. Like, it is the truth. I still like Android, but Apple's superior in a lot of ways.
All right.
Now,
all right, go ahead.
Sorry, Ty. Yeah, personal question. How do you feel about collaborating?
I think what some of you guys do is cool. Like, I think you should always accept the collaboration, especially if you want to take the clip, because at the end of the day, if you're not paying the guy for the clip, it's kind of even for the media guys, like, even for all of us, it's like, cool, Marcelo accepted it and it's on his page too, sharing it. And then 2-3 weeks later, if you uncollaborate like you do sometimes and then decide to go repost it,
that was my
boom,
question.
beautiful, right? But like, I'd say the biggest thing that drives a lot of the media guys crazy is when someone denies a collaboration, screen grabs it, and then instantly post it, because like, you're not letting the media guy get any organic time with that clip, right?
Yeah,
so like, I've stopped spending, like, I'm sure a lot of people have noticed a lot less edited reels from Ryne, and a lot of it came down to people just stealing them and not accepting collabs and not give. I was like, because that's not what I'm paid to do, right? I'm paid to make 2 to 3 YouTube videos a week. So it got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to do what I'm paid to do. And because people kind of take, and I don't know how to equate it to anywhere else. It'd be like if someone just like was forcing you to always do clinics for free or something, right? Instead of giving you some kind of return. And I don't need money, but accepting the collab is kind of it's a great gesture.
Yeah, I was approached by one of the videographers that I greatly admire and respect, and they were upset because a week, 2-3 weeks later, I had uncollabed, right? And I was totally unaware that this was a thing, right? Because from my perspective, and maybe this is kind of lame, but I like my feed to be a certain way. I don't like if there's like 2 of the same type of clip, and I get tagged in collaborations very frequently, right? And I actually feel bad if I decline them. So I do accept 98% of them, right? For that exact reason. I'm like, I want to support this videographer, photographer, whatever it is. I want to support. Cool. Put it on my page. It gets those views. And then a few weeks later, I'm like, all right, it's time to come off, and I didn't think there was any harm in that, but I was made aware that it was kind of offensive. And I was like, man, I don't see it that way. I don't want it to be that way. I hope you realize, like, that is not how it was intended at all. It wasn't like a, oh, I don't like this anymore, or a gesture of like, hey, I'm mad at you or something. You know what I mean? It was more of like, no, I felt that I contributed in my way, and now it's time for my feed to move on. I know it sounds funny that we're having a conversation, right? Yeah, totally. So I'm like, what's the etiquette there, right? Because again, the last thing, we want a good working relationship with all media. It's important to me. It's important to Tyler and I. We're kind of in the space now, and so sometimes you don't realize that things are like off-putting to others until they get presented to you.
I don't think there is any etiquette, but we can create it, right? So
exactly.
like, I would think, like, I see both sides. It's kind of like me getting offended when someone screen records my Google Drive share because it's like, it looks better than
Yeah.
that. Come on, man.
Yeah,
I
I
would
get
say
that.
when you
I get
accept
that.
your collab, maybe send them a message and be like, hey, brother or gal, you know, because there are some really talented female media people
Yes,
coming
certainly.
up. Like there's a girl out at GG Sports that dropped some banger pit photos of you guys. But I think if you just told them, hey, I'm going to accept this collab, I really appreciate it. But I want you to let you know, like in a week or two, like I'm going to accept someone else's collab. And when I do that, I'm going to uncollab. And it's not to be offensive. It's just, I don't want my page to get taken away with nothing but posts from other people. Because I understand the feeling,
Totally.
right? Because do you know
Right.
how I start picking and choosing flyers that people are trying to post that they want to collab with me just because they see that above 200,000 followers and they're like, oh, people will see it. And it's like, I mean, they might, but like it's also out of character for my page. How your
Right.
grid looks does not at all affect how it performs anymore. But with that
Correct.
said, it is still your space, kind of like my space, and it's up to it's how you want to curate it or present it, right?
Well, I do know that when I go to someone's page and I scroll through and I see most of their stuff is collaborations and it's not their original post, it's a little off-putting to me because I go, wait, I'm following you for your content. You know, you didn't create this. It might be of you, but it's like not yours. And there's something, kind of to that. So yeah, if my page has 80% collaboration, anyway, again, it was just a question and something that was brought to my attention. And I guess, if they listen to this show, I hope they understand that it absolutely, my perspective was so
He
totally
does it to
different
all
on
of
it.
us. It ain't personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing personal,
Me and Verbal have talked about it and we joke, but we get it, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's the understanding and just have the conversation.
Yeah.
Be like, just say, I appreciate the media, but I'm gonna uncollab after like 2 weeks just so I limit how many collabs are on my page.
Right.
Because I want
And that's ultimately what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one, actually, here's a hot ticket that I just realized we could do. I just ask them to change the cover photo. And sometimes it's a little more fitting there too. And that kind of, makes it fit the flow a little bit.
So like, or you can have them upload a photo.
Right.
You can actually make a thumbnail like we do on YouTube.
Right.
So like something I'm waiting to see if it takes play, but what's probably the next big thing in Reels is actually when a Reel starts off as a still image and then the still image comes alive. So like, I mean, hopefully when you guys are watching this, Ryne, he told you before, mass quantity sells. Now I'm telling you, if you put a still image, like screen grab your video and have the image start as like Marcelo coming in, and then it just goes, right? Like that's going to probably be one of the next big pickups in Reels because Reels are constantly evolving. Like if you've noticed, even on Facebook, Reels are like 5-6 minutes now. You can do full stories, like a full video is a Reel now.
That's a huge bit right there because I think you're right. That's going to be something that'll take over. We'll see a bunch more.
Yeah,
Sounds
basically
cool.
the thumbnail comes alive. Whatever the starting picture is when you go to scroll, you click it, that starts, and then that image just turns into the video, right? Like that's, I think, going to be the next niche for like making Reels go viral versus volume.
That's badass. We actually have some of the PB media gang in our Discord as well. And we have a whole thread for the media squad in Discord, PTG World. Zinger PB, he's doing some media.
I'm not in PTG. I need to be in the Discord.
Well, let's
RyGuy
go,
Media.
baby.
We got you, bro. Let's go.
100%. Let's get you in there. We'll discuss after this. He wants to know, Zinger PB is wondering, Ryne, what's one thing media members who are early in their career can work on?
Networking. Don't be so shy. Talk to people, right? Like, so one of the biggest things I think that gave me a boost over a lot of media guys is I am a very in your face, very brash. I will come to you, ask you any question. Like, I'm not timid, right? Like Ryan's not scared. And
we appreciate that.
That's what I would recommend, right? Go up to Tyler Harmon and ask him if you can have 3 minutes or 2 minutes to just get a quick interview, even if you're a divisional media guy, right? Like, and you guys are gonna be like, man, we're gonna get asked by so many, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So like, just take shots. Like, I have a guy right now actually through the Virtua paintball game Discord. He messaged me and he's like, hey, I just got out of the military. I use my GI Bill for learning how to video edit. could I try to edit some of your footage? And I was like, sure. So I sent him all the BKI camp footage to make a highlight video of just the BKI summer camp this year, like the dinners, the trailer ride from Anthony down there, like all the B-roll. And like, he's taking his shot. And I told him, I was like, you know, this could turn into a paying job for me to outsource work. And this guy didn't even know me and just asked. And I was like, sure, I can't give you anything from the pro field, but you know, some BKI footage. I can give you some curated clips. Let's see what you can do. So that's my biggest thing. And Zinger's an awesome guy. Like, he shoots a local series of me. Nice dude. But yeah, just take more shots. And I'm not talking about with your camera. I'm talking about with questions and not on the internet, right? Like, let these guys meet you, put a name to your face, like go talk to them, go chat with them, say hi to them, even say hi to the big media guys. I've had some guys like go to the other field at Blast Camp now that there's 2 fields, because they'll be like, oh, you were on the field, so I thought it was private. And I'm like, nah, you can come film with me. More content, the better. Like, I ask that you don't talk while I'm filming, right? Don't ruin my audio. But, you know, come get out there and take your shots.
That's amazing life advice. And that's exactly how little Mikey got started. It was crazy when I saw the shift from where we met him to him being like the main photographer of the NXL at some point, you know, or one of the main guys, you know. But he started in 2019. He showed up to our practice. Tyler, you remember you're on the team at Velocity Paintball Park.
Yeah.
His mom would have to drive him and drop him off because he was only like 15. And he had his camera. He's like, hey, do you mind if I like take photos of you guys and like I'll send them to you? You know, you guys could have content. I just want to practice. Like, that's how he got started. And we're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. You know, he would take photos. You know, he had a silly watermark back then. I remember him going through like a bunch of different iterations, always changing and trying to find what he liked, you know. But he was learning, he was practicing, he was growing. And then, you know, he just followed us to all of our practices, you know, and he would hook us up with content and we'd share and tag him and boost him. And he got better. And slowly but surely, you're like, wow, you're starting to really get the hang of this thing. Then next thing we know, he shows up and he's driving, just got his license. And then, you know, all of a sudden he's working at the NXL. He's on the pro field, you know? So, and
he had a good run.
Absolutely. And that was all because of what you're saying. He wasn't afraid to come out and say, hey, what's up, guys? Like, can I shoot your guys' practice this weekend? You know, he bartered a little bit, you know, trade you some photos, some content, you know, created a good working relationship, you know, and man, you know, fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all about networking, right? Like, if your whole net worth is your network, like if you don't have, you know, when people are like, you got there because you have a friend.
Totally.
I got here because I did work, but the friend definitely helped me find the bridge, right? They were a good guide on the map. But like, even with friends, like, you still got to do work.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we want to help you if you're hungry. You know, we want to help anybody who is hungry to accomplish a goal or chase a dream. And if you go out there and you just make those connections, it's going to start rolling in the right direction. So get out there and make those good quality connections. And I think we still have, I just got to ask this. This is my last question. What's the worst or biggest piece of equipment you have had break due to paintball? This one is from the OG GOAT Patty Rice in PTG World.
Ooh.
The worst piece of equipment I've had break? I mean, $6,000 camera body.
Oh, no.
How did it happen?
Honestly, so my R5C, which is a Canon cinema camera I used, it has open vent holes, and paint got into the vent ports. And it took it about a month or two, but after a month or two, the paint eats away something on the chip boards, and it just made it to where, like, one practice it worked, the next I turned it on and didn't. Oh, I got to NXL Philly, and it had worked at the Philly layout practice. I get to NXL Philly, turn my camera on, doesn't come on. At the event, having to overnight a rental thing. Shout out Borrow Lens, gets it there real fast, but
damn,
probably that. And then the second one would be my drone. Same thing happened. Took a shot at the Pittsburgh Open Classic from Jacob Edwards, bounced off one of the airball bunkers or hyperball bunkers, hit the drone. The drone worked for like another 2 months, and then eventually the little bit of paint oil in there just ate through the boards. So camera body, drone body.
Yep. And it's like a casualty of war out there, man. They're out there in the battle too. Those all the equipment. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Damn.
Well, damn, RyGuy, honestly, we appreciate the work you're doing within the industry. Appreciate
sir.
the conversations. Again, I think we're in a great spot with paintball. Media is at an all-time high. There's a lot of people excited to film paintball, create content around paintball, create art around paintball. And it's a really good spot for our sport. So we need to continue in the right direction and not, eat each other from within, right? That's like the number one thing. And my goodness, it seems like every time our sport gets to a place where it seems like the promised land is right over the hump, we start fighting each other, and we mess it up internally. So let's not let that happen. Let's just not let that happen. Let's continue to build a good working relationship. The players, the pro players, the divisional players, media, like that is the way forward. What you guys are doing on YouTube, to me, and I believe Tyler shares the same view. We've talked about it on this podcast a lot. That is the way forward. That is the way that we're going to get eyes on the sport. You see, clips that get shared on the Sports Center Instagram that are paintball related. Like that is how we're going to show people what professional paintball is, and then, we need to have the foundation of good storytelling and GoSports and things like that. But the initial catch, the initial views are going to come through YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so you guys are doing a tremendous job at that. And we certainly don't want to do something that pushes media out, and we don't want to do something that creates a divide in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah.
Good working relations, right? Like it just it
100%.
goes both ways. Everything's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
But thanks for having me on, guys. This is a blast.
Dude, thank you, Ry.
Listeners, please, like all the videos these guys put out, like, comment, share, subscribe. That is a free way that you could support not just, these personal videographers or content creators, but paintball as a whole. If we're trying to get outside sponsors and we can go to RyGuy's paintball based, YouTube page or Lone Wolf's, and there's, millions of views on every video and likes and tons of comments, advertisers are going to say, oh yeah, I want part of that. I want part of that for sure, because the numbers make sense. But when there's like 5,000, it's not that attractive. So, it's up to us to actually take action. And thank you, PTG community. You guys do a tremendous job of being engaged in the YouTube comments on our show. Let's do it for all the channels. It really means a lot. It's powerful and holds a lot of weight.
And Ry, thank you for taking time. I hope you and the fam have an amazing holiday season and a happy new year. And we look forward to seeing you in 2024, bro.
Yeah, can't wait. See y'all in San Antonio.
We'll see you soon.
Brother.
Yeah,
Sounds
February. Good. See you in a month.
All right,
peace, dude.
Peace. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. As always, if you would like to support, please head over to ptgpaintball.com. Click the orange Patreon link in the top corner. And if you would like to support, just sign up at any level and you'll get access to the Discord. It's an amazing way to get integrated with the community, ask guest questions, become part of the show, and become part of the amazing PTG community. We can't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much, PTG fam, for always asking the greatest questions. You make our guests have a great time, and you make the show so much better. We appreciate you guys tremendously. And as always, we will see you very soon.